Hi, this is Unscripted Audio. My name is Tom Chianti, and we are at the Cube in New York. Hope everyone is having a good day. Unscripted Audio is, of course, about audio, sounds, how we affect it, it affects us, how we can change it so it affects us differently, how to visualize it, and how to make it special, overall in the mix or separately, each sound individual. I'm using a digital audio workstation called Digital Performer. Everybody has their own favorite, and since there are far too many for me to cover comprehensively, I'm going to just stick with my favorite and do my best to guide you through the different types of user interfaces so you don't pay attention to what it looks like, but more so you pay attention to what it does. Because just because my EQ doesn't look like your EQ doesn't mean it doesn't do the same thing. The controls will be in different areas. It may or may not have a specialized display. All that is unimportant. Let's get back to basics here. The most important thing is learning how to listen. And engineers don't come out of the womb with better ears or better brains. Someone who's dedicated themselves to music in general will learn how to help the brain and make the brain communicate better with their ears so that they can differentiate between all aspects of the sound, single sounds or an entire mix. So if you're having trouble with sounds or a mix, my best advice is use your common sense, but close your eyes and listen, and try to define what you like and what you don't like about the overall mix. Best thing to do is songs you like by other artists or mixes you like, or to put them up on good speakers that you have, or whatever you use, whether you use headphones, near-field monitors, stereo speakers, computer speakers, whatever you use, and to really listen and figure out what you like about it. Is it because it's a very wide stereo, or it gives you that feeling of 3D, or is it because each sound is spaced and placed so perfectly that you can hear everything sparkle? So you really have to learn how to listen intensely, to block out everything else, and if you need to, close your eyes, and just listen to individual sounds and groups of sounds, like a rhythm section or a lead guitar, and define to yourself what those sounds mean to you. And think about it this way, like if you were going to describe a sound to a deaf person, what terms would you use? How would you go about it? And when I say how would you go about it, I mean, what way do you think you could describe it in terms that they would understand? So as I said, listening is important, and you should do, I don't want to preach about how much time you spend on it, but sometime every day you should devote to listening to your favorite songs, comparing them to what you're doing, and seeing the difference. You know, what you like about yours, what you like about theirs, and how to get there is what we're going to discuss on Unscripted Audio. As I said, because of the abundance of digital audio workstations, I can't explain everything on everyone. I'm not here to teach you how to use your DAW. I'm going to try to explain in terms I use and things I found out through my experience, what to grab, when to grab it, but most importantly, why you grab it, why you grab an EQ or compressor. And you will notice that even using computer plugins, good computer plugins will have this very pronounced. Even if you have them in bypass, when you put your sound through a plugin, it will subtly, sometimes very, very subtly, affect the sound before you do anything. And, this can happen with free plugins or expensive plugins. The subtleness is different depending upon, of course, the grade of plugins you use. Now, using Digital Performer for me has been a great growing and learning experience because I started using it way back in the dawn of MIDI when it was basically a sequencer where it just recorded MIDI notes. It did not record any sound. And then with the digital revolution, it evolved. And, we've all evolved. So don't get put off by, well, my plugin doesn't look like that. Think about what I'm doing and how it relates to your plugins or your sounds. So the more speakers you listen on, the better you'll be at listening. The more EQs, different type of EQs from different manufacturers or from the same manufacturers will sound differently and look differently. So get past what you see and go to the meaning of what I'm trying to say. Right up on the screen right now, I have a bias plugin, which is a group of real-time analyzers. And basically, they help me see and define a sound in frequencies, sound waves, phase, size, stereo width, and whatnot. So right now, we're looking at my voice. So let's go to one of my favorites, and that is just the simple spectrum analysis, we call it. And basically, it shows on the bottom, you can see there are low end on the left, high end on the right, and you get a general picture of, or a thumbprint. I can freeze it, and you get a basic fingerprint of what my voice looks like. You can do this in this mode, which shows all the frequencies grouped together and their amplitudes, their volume, or you can do it in this way, where it just shows the frequency analysis in a sound wave form. If this is easier for you to get a grasp on what the sound is like and what it's doing, by all means try to find a plugin. They're free. You just go to KVR Audio, Don't Crack, the Plugin Alliance. Those are just 3 off the top of my head, with hundreds and hundreds of Mac and PC plugins that are amazing and are for free. So for me, I'm going to use the spectral meter. And as you can see, thankfully, I'm a man and I have a lot of low end in my voice and a little bit of top end. You can change the shape of the signature of the sound by using an EQ, a compressor, well, just about anything will change it that you use. Plain old oscilloscope shows the simple waveform. The amplitude is not that loud because I'm not shouting. And when I shout, you can see the wave becomes more pronounced. This shows the linear progression of your sound, the up and downs of the sound wave When I don't talk, it shows a blank spot. If that happens in your mix, there's something definitely wrong, unless you're in a breakdown. Now, this is a spectrogram, and basically it's like a thermogram. Cool amounts of energy, EQ, are represented in green, and the more power a sound has in certain frequencies will go to orange and red. This is very good when you put up an overall mix and you can get a sense of, well, I've got way too much energy on the bottom end, not enough on the top, because the bottom's all bright red and the top is still green. This one shows your panning and phase. Right now, it's just me, so it's right in the stereo middle. And of course, I'm in phase because there's nothing else going on to put me out of phase. This we discussed. Now this is interesting. This is a phase scope. And basically, the longer the lines get, shows you how much volume you have. And when you get into other sounds other than my voice, it will come out in a circular fashion to show you how wide your stereo field is. And we'll get into that later. So let's put them all up again and go briefly through what I've talked about. All right, I mentioned DAWs, sound, importance of listening. We then went to the plugins. I have them, you have them. Mine looks different than yours. Doesn't mean it doesn't work. And then we went into the graph. Now, what I've done is recorded some simple drum beat and a bass beat. So let's take a listen to the drum beat, and I'll be quiet, and hopefully the train will be quiet. I have the windows open in the studio, so it's a nice day in New York, and so rare. So let's just take a listen to the drum beat and see how it comes up differently on each one of these analyzers. All right, so I quickly ran through all of the groupings of analyzers I had just to give you an idea of what's what. So now let's take the drums out and listen to just the bass by itself. And again, I'll go through all the meters and not explain them, just let you see for yourself. All right, so that was the drums individually. Group stereo mix of the drums, and then the bass. So basically, I'm going to take a break right now while you consume what we said, and when we come back, we'll talk about listening to the structure of the sound and also about how we can affect it. And we'll spend a lengthy amount of time just listening on the live broadcast. We have a chat room, so you can type in specific questions or your opinions, what you think the sound is like or whatever. Eventually, I will have a website up which will catalog the podcasts. Oh, God, it's going to have so many things. Mailing lists you can join, special little 15-minute tutorials on different plugins, reviews of new plugins, and all sorts of good things. So we'll be back, and in the meantime, pick something out and listen.